Hello everyone, I'm Joe Session, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got another jazz rock video for you. And to be specific, this is part 2 of the I Listened to 10 Jazz Rock Albums You Recommended series. You guys absolutely flooded the comments with brilliant jazz rock albums after part 1. Seriously, I've been drowning, in the best way possible, in recommendations I'd never heard before, classics I'd overlooked, and deep cuts that absolutely blew my mind. And I want to reward you quickly. So rather than teasing it out, let's dive straight into the albums you suggested. The ones I listened to, loved, and have a lot to say about. So grab a drink, settle in, and let's explore 10 jazz rock albums that you told me I have to hear. First up is Bill Bruford's album Feels Good to Me from 1978. Bruford's debut solo album came at a fascinating time in his career. After reinventing prog rock drumming with Yes, and then pushing rhythmic boundaries even further with King Crimson, he stepped out to create something entirely his own. And rather than forming a traditional band, he assembled a ridiculous lineup. Alan Holdsworth on guitar, Jeff Berlin on bass, Dave Stewart on keyboards, and Annette Peacock on vocals for select tracks. It's basically a fusion supergroup. What I love about this album is that it's clearly Bruford's compositional vision from the ground up. The tunes are intricate, angular, and full of unexpected harmonic turns. But they're never cold or clinical. Each musician is given room to express themselves in a way that feels deeply musical. My favourite track was If You Can't Stand the Heat. Holdsworth's guitar tone on this one is so smooth, it's almost otherworldly. And Bruford and Berlin lock into these incredibly precise rhythmic figures that somehow still feel playful. It's the kind of track that made me keep rewinding small sections, just to grasp how beautifully everything is woven together. The second album for today's video is by Soft Machine, and the album is named Fourth from 1971. Soft Machine were already evolving at breakneck speed by this point, and Fourth captures them in the middle of a major transformation. Gone are the vocals, gone are the psychedelic elements. This is a fully instrumental jazz fusion record, and it's one of the most uncompromising statements the band ever made. It's also the last album to feature Robert Wyatt before he left, and his drumming here is incredibly expressive. Elton Dean's saxophone adds an almost avant-garde sharpness, while Hugh Hopper's fuzzed out bass and tape experiments make everything feel unstable but in an exciting way. My standout track on this album was Teeth. It's this sprawling, shape-shifting piece that moves between tension, release, and open space. Dean's phrasing pushes at the edges of the harmony, and the rhythm section constantly responds with these subtle shifts. It feels like you're listening to a living organism evolving in real time. Unpredictable, but completely captivating. Album number 3 is going to be Lenny White's Venusian Summer from 1976. Lenny White was already a powerhouse from his work with Return to Forever, but Venusian Summer really shows what happens when he takes full creative control. What makes this album so intriguing is the concept. It's built around a cosmic sci-fi atmosphere, and the fusion elements blend with electronic textures in a way that was well ahead of its time. The musicians involved are top tier. Al Di Meola, Larry Young, Patrick Gleason, David Sancious, and many more make up an unbelievable lineup. White uses the drums not just as a rhythmic force, but as a way of shaping the narrative of each track. My favourite piece, Mating Drive, perfectly captures that futuristic concept. The synth textures feel like they belong in a 1970s space epic, and the groove constantly evolves underneath these shifting melodic fragments. It's dramatic, it's bold, and it feels like a chase scene through a neon-lit science fiction world. One of the coolest records from this batch. The fourth album for today will be Colosseum 2 Strange New Flesh from 1976. Now this one absolutely knocked me sideways. Colosseum 2 was John Heisman's revival of the earlier Colosseum concept, but the energy here is completely different. Much heavier, much faster, and with a clear hard rock influence fused into the jazz rock language. Gary Moore's guitar work is astonishing throughout. Fiery, virtuosic, but always musical. Dan Airey's keyboards add that hybrid rock fusion flavor, and the whole band plays with the intensity of a group that clearly had nothing to prove, yet still wanted to push themselves to the limit. My favourite track was Winds, mainly because of that incredible drumming solo at the beginning of the track. Heisman plays with such command. It's not just a barrage of sound, it's sculpted, dynamic, and genuinely expressive. When the full band enters, the track becomes a whirlwind of tight riffing, soaring solos, and explosive energy. It's fusion with teeth. Album number 5 will be David Sancious' Transformation, The Speed of Love from 1976. David Sancious is one of those musicians whose name should be mentioned far more often. After leaving Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, he dove headfirst into fusion, bringing classical influences, gospel harmonies, and jazz rock energy into a completely unique blend. Transformation is often considered his masterwork. The trio of Sancious, Gerald Carboy on bass, and Ernest Boom Carter on drums plays with a coherence that feels almost telepathic. The compositions here are sweeping. They don't feel like standard fusion tracks, but more like mini symphonies. The track that really captivated me was Sky Church Hymn number 9. It's actually quite a funky track. The guitar soloing and bass playing is great, and the drums guide the piece with a sense of purpose. It's definitely one of the standout tracks on the album. Album number 6 is Tetsuo Sakurai's Gentle Hearts from 2001. Jumping forward into the 2000s, Gentle Hearts is a fantastic example of modern Japanese fusion. Tetsuo Sakurai, formerly of Cassiopeia, brought in Greg Howe on the guitar and Dennis Chambers on drums, and you can feel the chemistry right away. Chambers is explosive but controlled, Howe is virtuosic but melodic, and Sakurai's bass tone is warm, expressive, and beautifully defined. The production on this album is exceptionally clean, and the compositions feel very deliberate. Every moment has shape and purpose. It's modern fusion, but with genuine emotional depth. My favourite track, The Invisible Way, is a gorgeous blend of lyricism and technical finesse. The melody has a reflective quality, and Sakurai's playing feels almost vocal at points. Howe complements that vibe perfectly with tasteful phrasing, while Chambers holds everything together with groove and subtlety. A stunning, heartfelt tune. Album number 7 is Cross Collateral by Passport from 1975. Passport has often been described as the German Weather Report, and listening to Cross Collateral, that comparison makes perfect sense. Klaus Doldinger leads the group with a very distinctive compositional voice, adventurous but structured, melodic but harmonically rich. The rhythm section of Wolfgang Schmid and Kurt Kress brings a driving, precision-engineered groove that gives the music a slightly European flavour. It's fusion, but with a cinematic, subtly atmospheric edge. My favourite track was Homunculus. It opens with a tight, hypnotic groove, and Doldinger's saxophone lines absolutely glide over it. The keyboard textures add this spacey ambience, giving the track a mysterious, almost sci-fi feel. It's catchy, rhythmic, and incredibly well crafted. Album number 8 is Flora Purim's Open Your Eyes You Can Fly from 1976. Flora Purim's voice is one of the most recognizable in jazz fusion. Warm, agile, and beautifully expressive. This album blends Brazilian rhythms with jazz rock instrumentation in a way that feels effortless. With contributions from George Duke, Airto Moreira, Egberto Gismonti, and Hermeto Pascoal, the musical palette is rich and incredibly colourful. While I can already see someone commenting that this isn't really jazz rock, I decided to include it as it was mentioned by a few people. Personally, I feel this is better described as Latin jazz fusion with subtle rock influences and elements from various other genres shaping the music's distinctive sound. Purim moves between dreamy, floating vocal lines and grounded rhythmic phrasing, and the arrangements always support her with subtlety and elegance. I had two favourite tracks, Some Time Ago and Ande I Walked. Some Time Ago feels like a dream, light, spacious, and full of delicate rhythmic touches. Ande I Walked has a more earthy, emotional flow, with gorgeous percussion and a melody that carries that unmistakable Brazilian bittersweetness. Both tracks highlight the emotional depth of fusion that often gets overlooked. Number 9 is Iceberg with the album Sentiments from 1977. Iceberg brings a Mediterranean flavour to fusion that's completely refreshing. Their music combines the fiery energy of jazz rock with Spanish melodic sensibilities. Guitarist Max Sunya and keyboardist Josep Mas have incredible chemistry, moving effortlessly between folky motifs and full-throttle fusion fireworks. Sentiments is widely considered one of their best works. It's bright, energetic, and full of stunning instrumental interplay. My favourite track was Ball de les Foules. It bursts with vibrant energy from the first note, with intricate lines and infectious rhythms. Sonya's guitar playing is razor sharp, expressive, and full of personality. It's one of those tracks that instantly puts a smile on your face because of how joyful and full of life it is. The final album for today is Alphonso Johnson's Spellbound from 1978. Alphonso Johnson had already made a massive impact through his work with Weather Report, but Spellbound shows an entirely different side of him, more soulful, more melodic, and more compositionally focused. Johnson's bass playing is front and centre, but not in a flashy way. He leads through groove, tone, and intelligent melodic writing. The whole album has that warm, late 70s fusion charm. My favourite track was Face Blaster. It's funky, upbeat, and full of clever rhythmic ideas. Johnson's bass line drives the entire piece, and the interplay with the drums locks everything into a perfect groove. It's colourful, energetic, and just a lot of fun. A brilliant closer to this list. And there you have it, 10 more fantastic jazz rock albums recommended by you. This has been such a fun series to work on, and I'm already looking forward to building a list for part 3. I would really like to hear your jazz rock album recommendations, so make sure you leave a comment below. And you never know, your suggestion might be featured in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, as it really does help the channel to grow. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you stay up to date with all of my latest uploads. If you're in the mood for more jazz related content and you want to continue hanging out with me here on the channel, I'll pop a video in the corner for you to click on now. Other than that, all that's left to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.